Cody Rhodes versus the internet. How the backlash from the IWC is making wrestlers uncomfortable to doing interviews with podcasters and credible podcasters, I should add, making them uncomfortable because of the backlash. And we're going to talk about it because I went viral on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Square Circle podcast. I am your host, Marie Shadows, and on this episode, we're going to be talking about some more drama, if you want to call it drama. But I did become viral on Twitter. One of my best performing tweets this week, this month, is a brand new month. Happy August. Happy Tuesday when you're listening to this, or whenever you're listening to it, happy that day. Here are the analytics for my viral tweet where, if you want to say that I defended Cody, it's a slight defending of Cody and what he said during the WWE SummerSlam press conference when Chris Van Vilet was going to ask him a new question. However, it is a defense to every wrestler out there because wrestlers are not really doing interviews as much nowadays. They probably are, but give or take, they really aren't because they don't want to get backlash from the fans. And for some reason, for this particular tweet that I had put out to where I really call out what the big problem is, everybody was telling me that Cody Rhodes lied. So I took it upon myself to do some research to try to find this Cody Rhodes lie. And guess what? I didn't find no lie. And every time somebody is like, oh, he lied, you know, we just don't like that, he lied and we're calling him out on it. No. Well, first of all, I shouldn't say no. I should say, what's the lie? You have not told me the lie. You have 140 plus characters, and if you have a check mark on Twitter, you're able to give me an essay about where is this lie that Cody Rhodes said. There is no lie. So we're going to break it down. But first of all, let me read you out the analytics for this. I have gained 15,012 impressions, 535 engagements, 219 detail expands, 0 followers, but that's okay. Nobody new follow me from this post in particular, even though I did get an influx of new followers due to YouTube and the wrestling content that both myself and Pro Wrestle Times collaborated on, where I was a guest on his show and I got interviewed, and you guys should go support him and watch me over there and hear what I have to say about professional wrestling. So I thank you guys for all the new followers. However, on this specific tweet, no new followers is totally okay. And then 130 profile visits. Those are fantastic numbers, all because I said Tony Khan plus other enablers created the environment of hate, backlash, and negativity without consequences, and it must be stopped. Wrestlers should feel comfortable talking their truth. ... Chris, you do wonderful interviews, and Cody Rhodes is an amazing guest. Don't stop, both of yous. Now, I have no problem calling out stuff like that or stuff that needs to be addressed, because the bigger picture of this is to talk about the issue of the backlash that the internet wrestling community gives anybody, everybody. It does not matter. They can flip-flop in between the bad arguments and flip-flop in between the energy and the negativity and the toxicity and the tribalism, all these words that we constantly throw out. They can flip-flop between this and anybody can get it. That's how it feels on this make-believe battlefield that is the internet, that is social media, that is Twitter. For some odd reason, bots and humans alike who are so pro AEW will just fire shots, metaphorically, against people that do not agree with them, people that just have a different way of thinking, a different perspective. And then when they show you proof and facts to back up their claims and opinions and observations, it's still like, the IWC wants to have the last word on whatever it is that they have no knowledge about, but they think that they're always a fly on the conversations that they are not in the rooms for. And because we are starting off hot and heavy with that, let me just say some housekeeping notes to remind you guys that if you enjoy my content from the Square Circle podcast by yours truly, Marie Shadows, please make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment over on the YouTube side of things, youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast. If you love listening to podcast episodes on Spotify and you use Spotify for everything, make sure that you are following Square Circle Podcast. Well, how do you do that? If you're on Spotify, hit that search icon and type in Squared Circle Podcast, and it will pop up with my name, Marie Shadows, underneath it. Click it and click that follow button right when you get to the profile page, and you will never miss an episode of when I drop it. Spotify does a wonderful job of making sure that you get all your notifications right to your phone. And if you want to take it a step further, I do have a wrestling newsletter called Square Circle Podcast Hub. However, you can reach that at, sign up and reach it at marieshadows.substack.com. Other than that, I am currently working on a Discord to incorporate the fans that I have gained lately over the last couple of days. You guys are amazing. The goal for the Square Circle podcast over on YouTube is to get monetized. So if you really want podcast episodes and live streams where it is unfiltered, where it is of all truth, where it is all opinions, and if you agree with my opinions, welcome. If you don't, still, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're enjoying my content, even if you do not agree with me. And it's okay to not agree with me with whatever I say on my podcast episodes. Just keep it civil if you want to have an actual conversation with me. And we are going to be breaking down the tweet that I had just read to you. We're going to get into the fan comments because they need a larger explanation. And Twitter does not allow me that because I am not subscribed to give people longer explanations. However, I will say again that I am working on a Discord. And if you are excited for that, I will let everybody know when it is done. I sort of want to make it perfect for you guys. And I also have a Fourth Wall account, which is similar to Patreon. And on there has my merchandise. And then on the description box down below, both on Spotify and YouTube, you guys will see a link to all of my links. And you guys could go get my wrestling planner. You guys could go get my merch. You guys could sign up to the newsletter. You guys can like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well and do all of that fun stuff. Sharing out this original wrestling content is free and priceless and takes 2 seconds. However, if you want to upgrade your amazingness, I encourage you guys to get a membership subscription, whether that is on marieshadows.substack.com or the membership site over at Fourth Wall, along with the merchandise, or even the coming soon to the Discord when that drops, a subscription over there too. All the revenue will go towards making the channel better, getting new equipment, getting a second laptop to do more robust entertainment and videos for you guys. It's a whole production work. So upgrading your amazing support from free marketing to paid, you get a lot more perks, love, and admiration from myself. And you get to see everything behind the scenes and stuff early and get to be first because we all love to be first. Again, all links down in the description box. Okay, let's really dive into this, ladies and gentlemen, because it has been one hell of a rise for the IWC to start just saying whatever they want. And there are no consequences. And yes, I put the blame on Tony Khan because before Tony Khan, we can definitely agree that there are fandoms that always had some sort of tribalism, but before the word tribalism blew up, it was originally called gatekeeping. We no longer use gatekeeping. We just say, oh, this is tribalism, or you're tribalistic. You don't want me to like you want me to like what you like. Oh, you're a tribalist, blah, blah, blah. You're stopping me from enjoying what I want to enjoy because you don't like it. We just turn gatekeeping into tribalism at this point, even though there may be some subtle differences between the two words and how the fandom acts. But for some reason, because we have the rise in the IWC just talking however they want to talk, it is time for us to push back a little bit, because there are some of us that see things in the bigger picture, that understands why wrestlers will say what they say, but then again, that is their truth, that is their experience, and you were not there. If you were there, then you can speak up. If you weren't, then just shut the fuck up, because you were not there. That goes hand in hand with all the stuff that has happened in the past under Tony Khan's watch. This is why sometimes, or most of the time, WWE doesn't really get into these kind of arguments online. They see everything, but to get into the conversations online, it doesn't go well for them. So if you're wondering why I'm not like WWE bad too, it's because they are trained to be professionals on an online setting unless they are being a heel. And no, I am not talking about the way that MJF is being a heel online, which most of the time is questionable, cringy, corny, and stupid. Because it's like, bro, I get it. You're playing a character to be heel, but pick and choose when you want to do it, and then pick and choose when you want to be like, I want to raise awareness for this, or you don't want to raise awareness for this. But let's look at some examples of how the environment of hate, negativity, and backlash started. It started when Big Swole was no longer under contract, and she spoke her experience. She spoke her truth. And I'm still a little bit upset about this, because Big Swole did not need to be thrown under the bus by Tony Khan when Tony Khan told us all the real reason why she was not re-signed. First of all, you do not throw your employees under the bus. Everyone, to save face and save themselves, aligned themselves with Tony Khan and started talking shit about Big Swole, saying that, oh, she was never good, she was never this, she's lying, she wasn't talking about this or whatever. Like the argument aspect where fans would side and be like, oh, she's totally wrong, Tony Khan is right. On the flip side, there was a lot of support for Big Swole, which was a great thing, to the point where even Leo Rush had lost his job at that point with AEW, or even just coming to AEW, because, he outright was like, yo, apologize to her, and he should have apologized. I think that Tony Khan should have apologized to Big Swole, even after all these years later. I don't care. You don't do that to somebody that's telling their experience. The next big one that comes to mind is Lufisto. Lufisto said her piece, said her experience, said her truth, and then all of a sudden everybody just jumps on her to the point where she's almost blackballed from professional wrestling. And guess what? She's currently right in what we're really dealing with right now with the AEW drama. Just recently with Jimmy Corderas, former WWE referee and been in the business for 20 years, you guys argued with him about a gimmicked chair. That sounds ridiculous in professional wrestling. While yes, professional wrestling, like I love to say it, as the purest form of theater, and there are ways to make certain objects or weapons into props, you cannot gimmick a chair at all. How are you sanding down a metal chair? A sander is not going to do enough to sand down a metal chair. It is a sander for like wood, for other objects, for other types of material. But for a metal chair that you really can't gimmick down, shaved down, you can loosen up the bolts on the chair. So that way, if someone's going to take a slam, it'll break easier and it'll help break the fall and your back won't hurt. But for the most part, chair shots are chair shots. If there was a safe way to gimmick a chair, a metal chair in professional wrestling, WWE will still be using a metal chair that is gimmicked in their hardcore matches. But guess what? After the whole Chris Van Vilet thing and more knowledge about CTE, they stopped with chair shots. And anyway, if we really want to get technical and really want to get all pearl clutch, like people say, you know, Edge Christian does a concerto, right? That's taking two chairs, one where the opponent lays their head on the chair, and the other one is where Edge or Christian slams the other chair down on top of the other chair to create like a wave effect for your head. Now that is dangerous, but for years we're like, oh my God, that's awesome. Oh my God, that is one of their vintage things that they do. Were those chairs gimmicked? Huh? That phrase is only coined to save face for AEW because AEW could do no wrong in the eyes of the IWC, which is led by Uncle Dave and all the dirt sheets. They are the ones that leak out information. They are the ones that are the AEW PR press, which, you know, Tony Khan loves to say that WWE is leaking out stuff about AEW, which WWE is not worried about you guys. 100%. They are not worried about you guys. They look at you guys, they see what you guys are doing, but they're not worried about you one bit, nothing at all. But going back to the gimmick chairs, that phrase just got coined because the internet was outraged that Jack Perry took a direct chair shot. And most people nowadays are concerned about the wrestlers. Wrestlers should have a longevity in this business because tomorrow is never promised and it is never guaranteed. And wrestling can stop someone in their tracks anytime it feels like it. So most of us that try to give constructive criticism about AEW and the enablers and calling out the bad stuff, it's because we care about the wrestlers in 2024. We care about the company in 2024. Now, yes, you do have your weirdos and your sickos and your psychotic people that just want violence, that just want what they want, which is selfishness. And they want it how they want it, and they don't care what happens at the end of the day. And like I said on Pro Wrestle Times, where I was like, well, Edge broke his leg and no one gave him his flowers, meaning the IWC, the AEW bunch, never gave him his flowers for breaking his leg for all of our entertainment. They moved on to the next. Those are the dangerous ones in the IWC, and those are the ones that need to be out of the IWC if we were to get any kind of common sense, sensibility, some happiness, a little bit of more happiness going on in the IWC. They got to go because they are the ones that bring it down. And then wrestlers who log on to Twitter see all this and they think that this is the web that everyone talks about and everyone sees and everyone repeats and everyone shares, and they don't realize, I'm talking about the wrestlers, they don't realize that there are people like myself, Marie Shadows. There are people in the space that do fantastic work and they want to see wrestling thrive and they want to see wrestlers thrive, and they do not like when people go after wrestlers for no reason. So I am making this episode to talk about the bigger picture of what we're facing, which is backlash for no reason sometimes, and sometimes backlash unprovoked sometimes. And the wrestlers get so turned off from it that they don't want to use social media. They think social media is very harmful, and it can be very harmful, but it is because we have become so laxed And we have created a vortex of sharing negativity, talking about negativity, fighting with negativity, fighting with the evil within the IWC instead of blocking, muting, and moving on. The more that you do not interact with those accounts that want to be right for the sake of being right, it does not matter how much information you throw at them, how much observation you throw at them, how much experience you have being in the front lines when you work in professional wrestling and not just being from the armchair of your basement. That stuff does not matter to a fan that sees an AEW wrestler or someone of the enabled group that says whatever they want on the internet without consequence. Now, there have been times where the IWC does come together and we call out something that's bad and the wrestler and or enabler gets it and then they block people and move on. However, for the most part, it doesn't feel that way. So when I say that TK and other enablers create this environment, they have, where TK thinks that it is a game where he gets to call WWE the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling, and yet say in also the same breath just months later that he wants to do a partnership with WWE, that he would like a partnership between WWE and AEW because he knows he is losing money and fans are turning against him. The ratings, even though they may not be accurate, but they are still a form of measurement to see what is really, really happening. And by listening to the full interview of Chris Van Vilet interviewing Cody Rhodes mentioned something amazing. And what he mentioned was that the majority audience of WWE fans are not online 24/7 chronically like the AEW fans and some of the other IWC accounts who are on Twitter 24/7. So because that chunk of the WWE fan base is not on Twitter, they're not going to know certain things that we constantly talk about on a daily basis 24/7. But until the hashtag was created of "We Want Cody," and then it got chanted in real time at the events, that's when you know it's real, and that's when you know that social media can be a positive change, where social media is like, no, Cody Rhodes is my guy, he should be going to WrestleMania, hashtag "We Want Cody," and look at the change that we did. And for AEW stuff, nothing really comes about it because everybody is all for themselves and everybody will throw people under the bus. People will step on each other. And we saw that with the Jimmy Corderas and the gimmick chair where QT Marshall came out of nowhere to discredit a veteran and then also say in the same breath that he doesn't care, he's a veteran, and just goes off and then says whoever had their career stopped by chair shots. Like, what are you doing? And it's examples like that that train the troll IWC accounts, the assholes, the bullies. It trains them that they can say the same stuff to anybody that they want. It does not matter if they are a wrestler or they're a real person or they're another bot. It trains wrestling fans to think that talking to people in such a manner is okay because they don't face any consequences. They don't face a ban on their account. They don't face a suspension on their account because technically they may have not broken any rules. But to talk to somebody in that way and to disregard somebody's knowledge and experience, hands-on experience, is the most wrong thing and disgusting thing, and it makes you disingenuous because you want it your way. You want to protect something so bad, but you don't want to tell your big boss that signs your checks, hey, I think you have to pivot a little bit. Hey, I think that, we need to clean up our image. Because all of this drama, including the new drama of Britt Baker getting suspended and MJF being okay and all the rumors running rampant, it's another brawl out situation where nobody could get their story straight. Nobody wants to come to the forefront to say something that is the truth because they have guys like Uncle Dave and the rest of the dirt sheets to do it for them and to create the chaos. And when you try to connect the dots, you can't connect the dots. It's going to take a while for you to connect the dots, but they want that chaos. They want that division. They want that tribalism to stay within the community and make it toxic, and then be like, oh, well, you guys are always saying that we're wrong, but we're right. Look at us. Or to try to get the manipulation tactic on you guys early so you could fall for it and pay your hard-earned money for stupid shit that you don't need to be in, because nobody was in the room. Nobody knows what happens. But this is what happens when stuff goes unchecked when it comes to what Cody Rhodes was talking about with that backlash from the fans, where fans think that they know because their knowledge has not upgraded since they want to get involved in things that they weren't there for, but they think that they are, because social media gives everybody a little eye-opening behind the scenes, a little slice of somebody's life, and they think that they know them 100%. That's why sometimes fans, when they reply to you on social media, it's the same thing you hear over and over and over again, because again, their knowledge has not upgraded to something new, because they rely on dirt sheet writers and they rely on the toxicity and the telephone game to get their source of knowledge, news, and information, and all the misinformation out there. And when they spread it, it spreads like wildfire. So you can never find out what's the truth until the actual wrestlers should come forward and be like, this is the truth. There were many times where Malachi Black was like, yo, this isn't true. Let me set the record straight. But it does sort of have that backlash again, because the dirt sheet writers would be like, how dare you tell me that I'm wrong? Because dirt sheet writers wants to be correct, and dirt sheet writers push the narrative of that it's okay to talk to wrestlers the way that they do and the way that we've seen it. And all the examples are there. It's happening in real time. If you are not on social media 24/7, then do not get into conversations that you don't know enough about. Sometimes it is best to sit and observe what the thread is about, what the tweet is about, the conversation that's happening, and then you can learn. Sometimes people do ask genuine questions where they want to learn about what is happening so they could be informed, but because it happens so much and so frequently and so fast, there's not enough time or energy to tell you everything that you need to know to catch you up on all the drama, because everything changes so quick, especially in the wrestling business, where it's like, this is the rumor one day, and then 24 hours later, we have a brand new rumor, and it says that, oh, yesterday's rumor is not true. And I might be going off on a complete tangent, but this is what the backlash of the IWC does to wrestlers who want to give an interview. Now let's dive into this Cody Rhodes lie. Because again, Cody Rhodes was speaking his truth when Chris Van Vilet was asking him really good questions. Questions that sometimes we ask ourselves about, like, why hasn't Cody said anything negative about AEW? First of all, Cody Rhodes does or does not have to say anything negative about AEW. That's his First Amendment rights. He could say whatever he wants to say, and he could tell us whatever story he wants us to listen to. However, Cody Rhodes is such a stand-up guy that he takes the approach of, well, he still had a good time. He's going to keep the good memories to him. And then rather feeding into the toxicity, he just doesn't really want to talk about it. Even though he did say exactly what the IWC was going to do, that they were going to take something, run with it, and spin it and call him a liar, but never tell me what lie he's talking about, because he has all the connections in the wrestling business because of his legacy and because who he is around. So when he left WWE, of course, the contacts that he knows are sort of metaphorically leaving with him too. Like, he's well connected. So the whole situation about getting AEW started, you know, I do believe that Cody Rhodes' buddy probably did meet Tony Khan first out of everybody, because let's face it, if you read the Young Bucks book, Matt ends up getting the email where Tony Khan introduces himself And that's where everything starts to go and create AEW. And the thing about Cody Rhodes at that time, you can tell that now he matured a little bit. He understands what he did wrong, and obviously he moved on from it the same way that everyone else has to move on from it. Yes, we can say that Cody Rhodes sort of helped with this tribalism kind of toxicity first, but Tony Khan is the one that kept pushing. And then I believe that Cody Rhodes realized, oh, this is not the way to go. Also, it makes you think, how did Tony Khan get Matt Jackson's email if Matt Jackson does not put his email, his personal email for bookings and appearances and whatever else you want to call it? He does not put his email up online anywhere. So a connection, a mutual friend had to talk about wrestling and had to give Matt his email to Tony Khan. The same way that celebrities are connected to one another, the same way that I think that the connection was made through mutual friend. And because Cody Rhodes has a lot of connections, because the Young Bucks really don't have connections like that, it was made through Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes is a part of the Elite story and also part of the building of AEW. Now, in the Young Bucks book, they do say that Cody Rhodes was flopping between, yes, he's going to be with them versus no, he's not. He's going to go back to WWE. He's going to go do this, but then would say sometime later, yeah, we're going to be all in on this. And that was a time and period where nothing was certain. Nothing was written, but Cody Rhodes always has this character about him that he knew that he was going to go back to WWE eventually to obviously win the WWE Championship title in honor of his father and in honor of his legacy. However, he wanted to also try to do something different to see if he can make it. And he sort of made it on his own without WWE, and he learned a lot of things along the way. So to say that his experience in being with the Young Bucks, in helping to create AEW, and if he did sign the contract last, what does it matter? He's the one that had the connections, the networking, and it all worked out, right? AEW is still here 5 years later, even though Cody Rhodes left. And we could all agree that that was the first domino effect for AEW. Because, again, Cody Rhodes is the glue that holds everything together because he has those connections. Why would you want to lose somebody that has connections that could ultimately make you money and get you better TV deals and get you better negotiation tactics and all of that? Because Cody Rhodes has seen it all. And now that he's in WWE, he is at the top of his game, and people just don't like that at all. And it's okay. I'd rather have angry fans reply on my tweets with, I don't like Cody Rhodes. And then I could be like, okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know. Rather than being so emotionally triggered because I don't think like how they think. And obviously I don't know what you're thinking, but it'll be best to say that you don't like Cody Rhodes and you'll be a lot more happier. Cody Rhodes obviously gets the credit for creating Double or Nothing and All In. It is said when the IWC wants to say that he's lying. I have no idea what he's lying about because nobody was there in the room. Nobody was there following along the Young Bucks and following along Cody Rhodes. Again, social media gives us the opportunity to share our lives with everyone around the world in real time, and we can edit out parts that we don't want people to see. We can shape a narrative by creating vlogs where we don't have to show Cody Rhodes in the vlog while the Young Bucks and Kenny signed their contracts, because that was part of BTE where you saw people sign their contracts. And it's been a while since I've watched BTE. I don't watch BTE anymore, but I do remember that it was like the Young Bucks, Hangman, and like Kenny. I don't remember if Cody Rhodes was in it, but just to go for the point, again, you can edit a vlog to not have somebody in a vlog, or if they can't show up that day, filming will go as usual, but it won't be in there. You know what I mean? So to say that his experience and what he told Chris Van Vilet on the interview is wrong and lying, you guys really can't say that, because again, you guys were not there. Cody Rhodes saying that the AEW fans and the fandom want him to be the villain is 100% right. The way that you go after wrestlers, referees, other fans that don't think like you, that is very toxic, and that turns people off from watching the product that you claim to love. You claim to love AEW and you're an AEW fan, but you're selfish because you want it for yourselves and you don't want AEW for everyone like you claim you want it for everyone. We started saying wrestling is for everyone, but yet then the moment that someone does not agree with you, the moment that someone says something of truth based on their observation, experiences, whether that is online and or real life, it becomes a whole out war just because they don't agree with you. But in the same breath, you will say that wrestling is for everyone. So Cody Rhodes is completely right. However, I do want to say that a podcast interview should allow the wrestler to speak their truth. Well, I should say the guest, but this is a wrestling podcast, so the wrestler should be allowed to speak their truth, answer the questions how they want to answer it, and tell us a story, tell us what's right, what's wrong, pick their brains. It is about them. It is not about you. Because if it was about you, you'll be on the podcast interview, but you're not on the podcast interview. That wrestler, that guest is on the podcast interview, and we are giving them a spotlight. So I will say this. If you are a professional wrestler and you are listening to this podcast episode and you're listening to me, hi, again, I'm Marie Shadows, the host and the creator of the Square Circle podcast. Whenever I interview professional wrestlers, I keep it all kayfabe. I do not delve into any personal stuff, no private life, because that has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with you. I am here solely to make sure that your character, your story's character gets over with the fans, because that is important. Because the moment that you get over, the more money you have in your pocket, the more story you can tell, the more fandom you have with the fans, the connection you have with the fans. So I'm not going to ask you about your personal life, who you're dating, what you like on, stuff that's very uncomfortable, because that is not what this podcast is about. Whenever I interview wrestlers, it is all in kayfabe and it is safe here. And I know how to conduct myself as a professional. And what Cody Rhodes said that day during the WWE SummerSlam press conference, man, I felt that in my bones, and he's right that wrestlers don't do interviews, a lot of interviews nowadays, because you have a lot of people that just end up having a podcast, end up being a supermark with no manners, no professionalism, and wrestlers can't tell the difference of who has credibility, who doesn't have credibility. Then when they do go on a podcast that don't have any credibility at all, they're like, oh, I did a shitty interview, and then they don't want to do interviews anymore. And, they end up just not doing it. And that kind of hurts to hear Cody Rhodes say that, which is like, it's true. So if you quickly want to know if you are a wrestler listening to this, I'm Marie Shadows, host and creator of Square Circle Podcast and former WWE employee, and also work on the indies and do vlogs on the indies when I can and commentary on the indies when I can. And I do Tape Study Tuesdays. Well, it was usually named Tape Study Tuesdays when I used to do it on Tuesdays, but it is the Tape Study series where I break down professional wrestling matches. I could watch your match, I could give you feedback, and I could think outside the box to help you improve as a wrestler, because around here in the Square Circle Podcast, my whole goal is to make wrestling better than it was yesterday, which means that I look at everything, I break down everything, and if you enjoy my content, then please, by all means, don't hesitate to reach out to me and to either like, share, and comment on this video if you want to. But I am here to help you out as someone who can look outside the box to make sure that you are doing the best that you can and how we can improve your overall wrestling psychology and character and story and all of that. And I also have a background in creative writing. I have a bachelor's degree in creative writing. I have a publishing certificate, and I created the One More Match 2023-2024 wrestling planners that you guys can get currently right now. But I just want to let you know that I do, again, interview wrestlers in a kayfabe standpoint, and that is my credibility, and I love what I do, but I just don't like how the IWC gives backlash where it is unnecessary, and don't keep that same energy for everything and become very, very quiet. Now, I know that energy is a very big thing because you got to know when you want to spend it, when you don't want to spend it, when you want to defend something, when you don't want to defend something. But by me innocently calling out Tony Khan and his enablers have created this environment of hate and backlash without consequences needs to really be talked about. That's the point of this podcast episode, is to talk about the generalization, the big picture, and that wrestlers need an outlet, a platform to be the star, have their spotlight, talk about their story. That's why there's me and a good, credible other people. If you ever want recommendations, I got you. But for everybody else, it does not mean that they should just have a backlash because they don't like what Cody Rhodes said, when Cody Rhodes said nothing wrong and Cody Rhodes said everything right about how the IWC will act. Like, he predicted this and you guys are proving him right. So again, I tried to find this lie, and there is no lie, because Cody Rhodes has a truth and Cody Rhodes has an experience, and Cody Rhodes ended up talking about his truth and experience, but people are like, you're wrong. No, Cody's wrong, and we're calling him out, and he doesn't like it. You guys don't know how to call somebody out without calling them a name, without saying some horrendous shit to them, and you guys wonder why you get blocked. It's because of how you speak to somebody, how you act on the internet, and it's like, calm down. He did not call you by name. If you're getting upset, if you're getting triggered over the truth of what Cody Rhodes said, then it is truth. Now let's go over some of these comments. I will not be name dropping, but you can follow me at Marie_Shadows over on Twitter. The first one that I just want to say is, someone said, in other words, come on guys, only positive opinions on wrestlers I like. Any others I don't like, I'll just pretend it doesn't happen. To that, I say projection, because I never said anything about let's not say anything bad about a wrestler, which, by the way, pick and choose how you say something bad in the first place. There is such a thing called as constructive criticism, and not just straight out, this person sucks, that person sucks, and wish harm on them. We're not doing that. I'm a fan of Cody Rhodes, and I think Cody Rhodes is right, but I never said let's just be positive. The next one. It predates Tony. Check out the Observer and blank contributors. They peddled the division and negativity. Tony just merely tried to capitalize on it. And to that, I said, and I will read my statement verbatim, that's the point. Uncle Dave and Bleep are at fault here too, but it was at least controlled to where pushback would quiet the now loud bunch of performative, clout chasing, virtual singling for their own personal gain people. Someone else said 100%. TK from the beginning fostered an environment that encouraged the hate we see on X. And that is 100% true. And then we have someone that tried to be smart to be like, what do you mean their truth? There is the only truth, or only the truth. And it's like, of course there is only the truth. However, have you ever heard of there's two sides to every story plus the truth? So Cody Rhodes talking about his experiences and his truth and what he didn't like about something, that is his truth. That is his experience. That is the point of my tweet about how, like, this nasty environment got created, and the moment that a wrestler speaks about AEW and their experience, they're totally wrong, and that's not their truth. And they are liars, and they don't know what they did. But guess what? They work there. They got a paycheck from AEW. You don't get a paycheck from AEW that is currently yelling and typing behind the screen to tell somebody that they're wrong. Like, again, calm down. We have this one that says, TK loves to stroke the flames of tribalism, and then when something doesn't go his way or something negative occurs, he makes himself and AEW out to be the victim. It's textbook for him. That is what we all see in real time. We've seen this time and time again. And if you haven't seen it, then your timeline is all wrong, and it needs to be updated to where you could probably see both sides. I see both sides because unfortunately I'm on Twitter 24/7. But also, if you're not using Twitter as much, you're not going to see all this stuff in real time because everything moves so fast. My favorite one is when people with name and numbers ends up telling me that I have a crazy hypocrisy to doing this because I said a positive thing about AEW just because I said that to go support Rocky. I meant it. Go support Rocky Romero because he's a great guy. That does not mean that it's a positive tweet about AEW. It's a positive tweet for Rocky Romero because he's a great guy. I've had the honor to talk with him at one point while I was media press. So he's a great guy. Go support Rocky Romero. And my tweets make you think critically. And when you can't think critically, you end up calling them negative. And this person with name and a bunch of numbers goes to say, I get not liking the program, but continually tweeting negative things without being genuine also adds to the you claim to hate. Which, by the way, whose burner account is this? Because this is what everyone says when they have a burner account and it's copy and paste. So I will say this. I support certain wrestlers, and just because they are part of certain brands. And by the way, Rocky is an original New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestler and helper. So first of all, like, I'm shouting out a New Japan star in Rocky Romero. And yeah, go support him because he was on a recent episode of Hey, but that doesn't mean that it's a positive kind of tweet for AEW. It's a positive for Rocky Romero himself. I'm just saying that those are burner accounts. So that's that. I just wanted to read a couple comments from that whole thread. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for making me viral on Twitter. Thank you for interacting with me. I just want to bring awareness to conversations and topics like this because I do believe that wrestlers should have a nice place or a platform to have an interview with someone that's credible and someone that has the knowledge of professional wrestling and that can help elevate the person that they are interviewing and without any backlash. Because again, you can make your own podcast if you want to, and you could talk as much shit as you want to, and maybe then you'll be a lot more happier in life. But don't try to tell somebody else who is the guest on a show what they should and should not say at all, because it is not your call at all. It is not. You are there to sit and watch. And yes, you can critique if you don't like something that somebody has said or you don't believe it, but that does not mean that you give them a full-on backlash attack and try to get them canceled or try to get their account suspended or try to dox them or try to be like, you're bad, you're mean, you lied, without even showing any evidence, without doing the research and trying to prove that the guest has lied. Now, over the years, there have been times where people have shown the evidence and it is true. And then us as a community and as a nation, we could be like, yeah, that's wrong, dude. You should apologize or do that. That they should apologize for stating something that could be factually incorrect and misleading info. However, this is the wrestling business. Everyone that has some type of anger issue with somebody, you're not there, so you can't tell them, hey, you better not talk about it because I want to defend AEW or I want to defend whatever it is. Relax. Calm down. There is no point to do that because, again, you weren't there. Some of us actually work in the wrestling business and we have tales and experiences of our own. But for some reason, the IWC has become the playground of you're lying. I know you're lying, even though you weren't there, but you still want to tell the other person who's telling their story that they are liars. So again, where is this Cody Rhodes lie? What did he really truly lie about? That he said that he's upset about the way that the Young Bucks that wrote that he was the last one to sign. Well, obviously, going back and reading the book, you can tell that they left out a lot of details. You could tell that they left out a lot of things because the scope of their book was their lives and what they did and their journey, and the little snippets of meeting Cody Rhodes here and the way that they describe Cody Rhodes kind of makes you think like Cody Rhodes was never one of their boys and that they did it because Kevin Owens asked a favor from the Young Bucks. So the Young Bucks did it as a favor, and when Cody Rhodes left, it seems like there was no change, because if you were smart and you really wanted to help out Cody Rhodes on the indies from the bottom of your heart, even without Kevin Owens asking, and you just wanted to be a good person to help out Cody Rhodes on the indies to survive, you would have not let him go. But guess what? Everyone let him go, let go Brandy, and without even having maybe a better conversation to be like, we're sorry, let's start again, let's try a second time, and if you feel like the second time isn't really working out, then you can go. How do you lose the biggest asset other than CM Punk of your company because ideologies clash? And you couldn't find a common ground, and you couldn't find a middle ground or some type of give or take. Because sometimes the wrestling business can be filled with egos, but at the end of the day, you got to check that ego at the door and make sure that you do what's best for business, to quote Triple H. And I know that we were all sick of it when he kept saying, this is best for business, this is best for business. But when you look at it from a business standpoint, it is best for business to keep Cody Rhodes around. Cody Rhodes is the man. And I will say it here as I try to wrap up this podcast episode. If you go back into the archives, my outlook on Cody Rhodes is completely different from then to now, which means that we all grow up and we all realize that we are all more mature. We have a lot more knowledge and we have a lot more love to give for the business, and we know that the past, we build from it to make a new future for what we love in professional wrestling. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, please make sure to share it out. Tell a friend. Make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down on YouTube and now Spotify. Spotify now has comments. And if you want to follow the Square Circle Podcast on Spotify, this is what you do. Open up your Spotify, hit that search button, type in Squared Circle Podcast by Marie Shadows, and it should pop up with my face and Square Circle Podcast on the side. Click it and click that follow button so you can never miss a notification of when I upload a brand new podcast episode. Over on the YouTube side of things, head over to youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast. And I want to give a big shout out to Pro Wrestle Times for just collaborating with me, inviting me to his podcast show and interviewing me. And when I say collaborating with me, it was a joint effort. I'm on his show. We still collab. We still said hi and what's up. We had an amazing conversation about my time in WWE, my thoughts and feelings about the one-sided partnership between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and me still hoping for New Japan Pro Wrestling to get a partnership with WWE because they got to get out of the red. They cannot be like AEW, where AEW is still in the red and spending money like crazy. Remember, guys, money eventually runs out. So that's something to tell AEW and Tony Khan about, that they have to make smarter decisions and they have to get themselves out of the red. It is quite interesting that people will attack Cody Rhodes for him lying, but Tony Khan has not been completely truthful with the funds and how this disciplinary committee happens, and nothing so truthful. Everything is all scattered, and that's all thanks to the dirt sheets, where they put out that PR so that way they could get drama, they could get rumors, they could get everything that they want to, and it's a bad look and a bad brand image for AEW. But other than that, youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel and bumping up my numbers. Again, you guys are not subscribers. You guys are my friends. Thank you so much. Head over to Spotify and hit that follow button. Head over to marieshadows.substack.com. That is my newsletter. And make sure to visit all of my links and support me there. And I will see you guys all on the next episode. I love each and every one of you guys. Thank you for understanding my opinions, perspectives, and experiences. And again, if you don't agree with me, that's totally fine too. You are most welcome to share this out and listen to it again. And I hope each and every one of you guys find some type of peace in your heart. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one.